That's awesome. Caleb Williams and the Bears exercised their demons by pulling off their own last-second comeback win Monday night. Up against a team that derailed their season with a Hail Mary a year ago, Williams found a way, threw for a touchdown, ran for another to win his third straight game. The Bears, they have now 3 straight wins since starting the season 0-2, while scoring at least 20 in each of those games. So far this season, Caleb has increased his passing yards per game, his attempts, yards per attempt, and is taking less sacks compared to last season. So, Mad Dog, I ask, are you all in on the Caleb Williams era in Chicago?
I am not, and great job for Troy Aikman on Monday night, because Troy wasn't into it either. You can tell just by listening to his commentary. And if Ben Johnson, who's done a hell of a job, and Caleb Williams are going to sit there and tweet about Troy Aikman, timeout.
Well, Ben Johnson didn't tweet anything.
Well, I mean,
the player had
I thought Ben Johnson didn't like what Aikman had to say.
He addressed it in the press conference.
This is Troy Aikman. I mean, this is one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League with three Super Bowls where he played great in all 3 games. If he wants to have a comment on Caleb Williams, he's allowed to have a comment on Caleb Williams. Deal with it. Me, you want to kill me, go ahead. What do I know? Because I don't love Caleb Williams either. He creates his own chaos in some of these games. 26% inaccuracy rate. ESPN made sure they gave you that percentage when they said his throws at times can be inaccurate. He fumbled that snap, which cost him an opportunity to win the game late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. And he's just, I don't know, he's so erratic at times in the course of the game. Now, at times he can be great, and then at other times you say, geez, what are you doing? I mean, and let's be honest. Let's be fair. Right now, and the Bears have a history of doing a horrific job with quarterbacks. Yep. Justin Fields, Cade McNown, Trubisky. I mean, this is nothing new. If you're the Bears and you want to analyze this, would you rather have Jaden Daniels, who is pick 2, or Williams?
I don't know. What do you think?
Daniels.
Yeah.
He got to an NFC championship.
What about Drake May? 3.
There's the next one I was just going to mention. You want Drake May or you want Caleb Williams? It's a little early yet for Drake May, but at the early returns, give me Drake May. I take him right now over Caleb Williams. So to me, despite their record, good win. Daniels fumbled. That's the reason they won the game. But overall, I am nervous about him if I'm a Bear fan going forward, big picture.
Stephen A?
A couple of things. Well, I disagree with Doggy, but before I disagree with Doggy, let me say this. I've been at ESPN since 2003, with the exception of the 2-year hiatus from 2009 to 2011. One of the proudest moments I believe we should have is when we acquired Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to do Monday Night Football. You're talking about the A-team, and you're talking about a guy in Troy Aikman who is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, smart as a whip, incredible integrity, and anybody in the world of football who has a problem with him talking about a quarterback should really, really check themselves. You could have people just as qualified, because there are some who are. There's nobody more qualified than Troy Aikman to be talking about the quarterback position in the National Football League. So everybody just needs to stand down. Let's get that out the way first. Now let me get to the point about Doggy on Caleb Williams. Doggy, I get where you're coming from, but I respectfully disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why. Over his last 12 starts, do you know that Caleb Williams has thrown 20 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions? Do you realize that Caleb Williams is on his 3rd head coach into this season, game 18 of his professional career, Doggy, on his 3rd head coach and his 4th offensive coordinator? Who's had to deal with that? Tell me a quarterback in NFL history that's had to deal with 3 different head coaches and 4 different offensive coordinators inside of 18 games. That was Caleb Williams. Also, we have to take into account that Drake May actually helps the argument to believe in a Caleb Williams. Here's why. No disrespect, but when Bill Belichick departed and Robert Kraft decided to give the job to Gerard Mayo, didn't work out, did it? Now you got Mike Vrabel there. And just like that, look at Drake May. We weren't saying this about Drake May last year, but we're saying this about him now. Why, Doggy? Because you know as well as I do, particularly when it comes to the National Football League, coaching matters. It really, really does. It's not just about X and O's. It's also about development. It's about culture. And it's about making sure that that culture is something that augments and elevates your quarterback as opposed to compromising their level of production. That is what Mike Vrabel has done in New England in a short stint there already, only 6 games in. We got to give credit where credit is due. Right now, Mike Vrabel is a candidate for Coach of the Year because of how New England has looked. Now we get back to Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels hasn't had to deal with that. Even Drake May hasn't had to deal with that. So look at what Caleb Williams has had to deal with, and look at him from the first 2 games to the last 3 games. Look at all of those things. And then let's look at Ben Johnson, because now we're going to have to pay attention to giving Kevin Warren, the CEO, and Ryan Pace and Ben Johnson, all of these guys credit for bringing in Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson is there calling plays. He's the head coach. Look at how he's resonating. Look at him on the headset. Look at him holding his coaching staff accountable and players accountable. The kind of thing Doggy loves. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because Mad Dog Russo, with the degenerate gambling tendencies that he has, picks up on all of this stuff. It ain't just about what's going on in the field. It's about what's going on the sideline, what your mentality is like, where your focus lies, what are you doing what you're supposed to be doing. This is Mad Dog Russo. He pays attention to all of this stuff. Watch Ben Johnson right here. Watch the job that he's doing. Look at the players rally around him. Look at the accountability he attaches to them. Chicago has something going on. And then when we take into account Chicago's history, hey, Doggy, Jim McMahon wasn't the star of the Chicago Bears. I mean, we saw him doing the video, the hustling crew and all of that stuff. But this dude was, this is the 80s. This was no Dan Fouts. This was no Dan Marino. This was nobody like that. This wasn't those guys. That defense and sweetness, Walter Payton, and the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? The refrigerator Perry. Those were the dudes. Jim McMahon was a good quarterback, but come on now. And ever since then, the best that you have had to offer was Jay Cutler, okay, in Chicago. Cats like that. Caleb Williams, look at his arm strength. Look at his ability to make those throws. Look at his ability to scramble, to move. Look at his NFL body. I believe in Caleb Williams. He's not there yet, but he has tremendous potential. And now that he's got a coach like Ben Johnson, I think sky's the limit.
I would also argue this, to Stephen A's point. I don't know if there was a single player, and this includes Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and all the rest that we talk about, who had more pressure and eyeballs on them coming into this season, considering A, they spent big bucks on bringing in the offensive guru, Ben Johnson, but then in the draft, getting Colston Loveland, getting Luther Burden, they also have all those other weapons that they have, and Roma Dunze, a former top 10 pick. Everyone was looking for Caleb Williams to fail here, and here we are. They're 3-2. He's won 3 straight games. I don't know what else he could have done, Doggy.
He was terrible week 1 against Minnesota.
He was not terrible in that game.
Oh, he wasn't good.
They had this game. They had that game, and then they lost in the end, and McCarthy had a great drive at the end.
He didn't play well in that game.
Doggy, when trailing or tied this season, Caleb Williams is completing 64% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception, with a passer rating of 103.6. We're talking about this brother like throw him out with the bathwater. But you got people speculating, can Chicago make noise in the NFC North? What you say, you look at Green Bay and how they gave up 40 to Dallas, right? You look at Detroit, how they just lost to KC, right? You look at Minnesota, no J.J. McCarthy. Carson Wentz ain't the answer. And J.J. was a rookie. And what's he going to do when he gets back, right? Chicago is right there. And I think that they're on a come up. I like Caleb Williams. I'm not saying he's there yet. I know that he has vast ways to go. I listen to Troy Aikman. You understand what I'm saying? I get it. I'm not refuting anything that he said. But 3 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators in your first 18 months, I'm quite sure if you sat down and you asked Troy Aikman about that scenario, you understand, he would be sensitive to that in his judgment towards Caleb Williams. He has every right to point out what he pointed out. And I ain't here to refute no damn Troy Aikman. Let me be very clear. He's right with what he says. I'm just saying it's early. You want to judge Caleb Williams, judge him now that he's got Ben Johnson. Okay. Because I'm here to tell you, I believe in Ben Johnson. I think that man can coach. I really, really do. And by the way, we're seeing, and I hate to bring this up, But it's necessary because y'all are right there in New York. Peter, Doggy, you know this. Look at the discrepancies between the two former Detroit Lion coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the offensive coordinator that is Ben Johnson in Detroit last year. Look at the defensive coordinator that is Aaron Glenn. And look at them as head coaches right now. There is a vast difference when it comes to the level of production that has taken place in Chicago compared to what has taken place in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
No doubt. And I would just add and put a button on it. Games like Monday night, the Washington game, years prior, Bears would lose those games. They found a way to win.
Yeah, but Williams is not the reason they won.
He absolutely was.
Swift was the guy.
You have a quarterback giving the ball to Swift, passing the ball to Swift. Williams absolutely was the reason why.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
Boy.
We got more coming up. Two